What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another video. The NFL regular season is over, and we're headed into wildcard weekend. With the regular season behind us, the NFL MVP will be announced soon, and this year, there's no clear-cut winner. In this video, I'm going to announce my MVP, but before I do that, I want to run through some of the honorable mentions. My first honorable mention is going to be Derrick Henry. I mean, what a great season. One of only 8 players in NFL history to run for 2,000 yards. And the Tennessee Titans are, making a great playoff push in the AFC. With Derrick Henry having a great season overall, the only downside to his game is he's a running back for starters, and they never really get MVP votes. He had an up and down year. Now, I take that with a grain of salt because he did run for 2,000 yards, but he had 4 games under 100 yards and 6 games averaging 4 yards or less per carry, which, isn't really representative of an MVP in my opinion. I'm not trying to discredit Derrick Henry's fantastic season because it really is an NFL record, but he's just not going to be my MVP this year. Another player who I'm not really sure was ever in the MVP consideration is Ryan Tannehill, but he deserves a lot of credit. Great season. 40 total touchdowns, only 7 interceptions, only lost 1 fumble in the whole season. The only problem with Ryan Tannehill is, didn't win a lot of games, lost some big games to the Cleveland Browns and a couple other big games, and, never felt like he was the leader of the team. It kind of felt like it was Derrick Henry's team who ran for 2,000 yards, and, Ryan Tannehill was second on that team. My MVP can't be the second option behind the running game. Just can't happen. Quickly, another honorable mention for me is Tom Brady. 43 years old, 43 total touchdowns this year. Had a really great year, but lost some big games to some big competition. Lost to Chicago, lost to New Orleans twice, got blown out against New Orleans where he threw 3 interceptions, lost against the Rams and Kansas City. He was 1-5 this year against playoff teams, and he had 12 interceptions, which isn't too crazy, but that was his most in a season since 2011. Still a great season for Tom Brady, especially at age 43, but not my MVP. And my last honorable mention is someone who really does deserve to be in the MVP race, but I didn't put him in this year, and that is Josh Allen. Josh Allen threw for over 4,500 passing yards, 37 passing TDs, 10 interceptions, 421 rushing yards, and 8 rushing touchdowns. He's easily the best rushing quarterback on this list. But what's going to hurt Josh Allen is he had some inconsistent games and some big losses. He got blown out against Tennessee, lost to Kansas City, and lost to Arizona. Not to mention, he had a bad stretch of games from weeks 6, 7, and 8, where he averaged 194 passing yards, only threw for 2 touchdowns, threw 2 picks, and only had 1 rushing touchdown. Now, not to crap all over Josh Allen, because the dude really did turn around his whole entire career. He's going to win the most improved player this year, and he ended the game on a 6-game win streak, throwing for 16 touchdowns, only 3 picks, running in 3 touchdowns, and outscoring their opponents 229 to 110. Josh Allen really turned around his career this year and was a legit MVP candidate. For me, not winning the first seed in the AFC, of course it's really tough with Pat Mahomes and, the Kansas City Chiefs. Not doing that, plus, a couple bad games here and there, knocked him out of real true, MVP contention for me. Alright, so the moment you've been waiting for, the reason you clicked on the video, who is my MVP? It comes down to 2 players, and those 2 players, as you can tell by the thumbnail, Patrick Mahomes of the Kansas City Chiefs and Aaron Rodgers of the Green Bay Packers. These 2 guys were the best players in the entire NFL, hands down. It's so hard to choose between the 2 guys because they are both amazing players, but statistically, they both line up pretty equal to each other. Pat Mahomes finished second in the NFL in passing yards, would have finished first if he played in that last game, while Aaron Rodgers was a little bit lower in passing yards, but led the entire NFL in total touchdowns. Both players played phenomenal this year, and I don't want to nitpick it down to individual statistics because they're both so close. One way leans Patrick Mahomes, one way leans Aaron Rodgers. You could really lean it any way you want to. So let's start with Patrick Mahomes. Why I think he has a strong case to be the MVP. The Chiefs went 14-2, the best record in the NFL. 14-1 when Pat Mahomes plays. He didn't play in the last game because they already clinched the AFC title. The Chiefs have big wins against playoff teams or teams that just missed the playoffs. Baltimore, Buffalo, Tampa Bay, Miami, and the Vegas Raiders. Also for the Chiefs, their rushing attack was pretty average compared to Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. No 1,000-yard rusher for the Chiefs, and the RBs combined to only score 8 total rushing touchdowns. Mahomes and Tyreek Hill ran for 4 themselves. And most importantly, the Chiefs earned the first round bye in the playoffs. Now, to make a strong case against Patrick Mahomes to be the MVP is kind of tough. It's a task. But I mean, the common case that you can make is he has the second most talented offensive weapons behind, I would say, Tampa Bay in the NFL. Not to mention the best coaching scheme in the NFL. Everybody wants Eric Bellamy, the offensive coordinator, to be their new head coach of their franchise. Tyreek Hill was tied with Davante Adams, funny enough, for receiving touchdowns this year, and Travis Kelce just set an NFL record for most yards by a tight end in a season. Not to mention that the Chiefs have a bunch of complimentary receivers that really help out Patrick Mahomes in being really reliable with hands, with Demarcus Robinson, Mecole Hardman, and Sammy Watkins. While Aaron Rodgers has MVS, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who drops wide open deep shots all the time. Now let's look at the case for why Aaron Rodgers should be the MVP. This season, he led the NFL in total touchdowns and threw the least amount of interceptions. He also led the Packers to a 13-3 record, with big wins over New Orleans, Tennessee, and 2 Bears wins. So the case for Aaron Rodgers being MVP, like I said, he led the NFL in touchdowns with 51, and the lack of offensive talent. Don't get me wrong, Davante Adams is great, Aaron Jones is great, but outside of that, who else does Aaron Rodgers have? Robert Tonyan caught double-digit touchdowns this year. But I don't think Robert Tonyan is the guy that caught 10 touchdowns. I think Rodgers is the guy that got him 10 touchdowns, not the other way around. And who's Aaron Rodgers' wide receiver 2 this year? Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I mean, he drops deep balls all the time. Allen Lazard has been hurt all season. So Rodgers is really throwing to Aaron Jones, Robert Tonyan, and Davante Adams. The case against Aaron Rodgers being MVP really comes down to 2 different things. The Packers defense was pretty solid this year, finishing top 10 in yards allowed per game, 13th in rushing, and 7th in passing yards per game. The Packers also had some big losses this year. They got blown out against Tampa Bay 38-10, where Aaron Rodgers threw for 160 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 2 picks, lost to Minnesota, which shouldn't happen with a Super Bowl tending team, and the Indianapolis Colts. Granted, a 13-3 record is still pretty solid, and they claimed the NFC title. 3 losses compared to, just 1 for Patrick Mahomes. I have to take that into consideration when making my MVP vote. Alright, without further ado, here's my vote for MVP. This year, I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes as my MVP. In a world where Aaron Rodgers goes 14-1 like Pat Mahomes did, I think Aaron Rodgers takes it home. I mean, Aaron Rodgers threw for 50 touchdowns, 7 games of 4 touchdowns thrown or more. I mean, honestly, balled out this year. Completely reversed, flipped the script from, Jordan Love coming in as this, first round quarterback, potentially going to take his job to, it's Aaron Rodgers' job for now until, the end of history. Aaron Rodgers is great, but Patrick Mahomes, that 14-1 record, never lost any big games. I saw Aaron Rodgers lose that game to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, lose a game to the Indianapolis Colts. I can't see him lose games. And Pat Mahomes only lost one to the Vegas Raiders. Now, my definition of the MVP is the best player in the league. I know some people want to interpret it as the actual most valuable player, and if you're going to do that, then I think it could be a lot of different players. It could be Mahomes, it could be Tom Brady, it could be Josh Allen, it could be a ton of these guys. But for me, it's the best player. And if you look in the world where it might be the most actual valuable player, I think Aaron Rodgers might take the cake. But in the NFL, they rate it as the best player in the NFL, and so do I. I'm going with Patrick Mahomes this year as the 2020 MVP. Thank you guys for watching the video. I really do appreciate it. If you like what you saw, comment down below and let me know who's your MVP this year. Leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for more. I'll see you guys next time.